Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Welcome back to one of your favorite podcasts out there about gaming, gaming media, gaming news, all your game things. We are here to have a game chat. I'm Tom. This is my partner, Lucas. And we're here today to talk about Smash. Aren't we, Lucas?
Yeah, particularly in the New England area, the New England scene. Our guest is a good friend of Tom's, as are of, I guess most of our guests have been of late and have had some type of connection to you. But yeah, so he'll be coming on and be asking questions about the gaming scene up there. He's done everything from streaming to commentating, so pretty well versed. And we're gonna hear what he has to say.
Absolutely, folks. Let us know if you like this one. Keep it locked here for more interviews like this. We're jumping all over the place in terms of the gaming scene, folks. We want to get you coverage from top to bottom all across the industry. So we hope you like this one. Check it out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. Follow us on Instagram at GameChat_Tom Lucas. Someday we'll get our Twitter back. But until then, Instagram's the place to be. And without further ado, we'll just jump right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, here's our interview with Nathan Cordeiro, aka BlueEco. And hello, folks. We're here today with our good friend Nathan Cordeiro, otherwise known as BlueEco or Echo?
Eco.
BlueEco.
Yeah.
He is a good friend of mine. I have known Nathan since we were wee little people. Nathan is pretty prominent in the competitive Smash Brothers scene. He's doing things up and down New England, all sorts of ins and outs and ends and odds when it comes to competitive Melee. So, we're here, we're chilling, we're hanging. How you doing, Nathan? It's good to see you.
I'm good. There's been a lot going on in Melee recently. At least not just in New England, but pretty much everywhere. So It's very exciting.
Oh, absolutely. And we're very excited to dive into some of these topics today and hear about what's going on, aren't we, Lucas?
Yes, we are. The best way to learn is to go directly to the source, directly to the person involved.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we can start off at the beginning. And that is, when did you start playing Smash non-competitively, just for fun?
Wow. There's probably like 5 different answers I could give you. I played Smash 64 with my brother on the Nintendo 64 as a kid. Never had a GameCube growing up, so it's a little bit ironic how into Melee I got. But I got Brawl, Super Smash Bros. On the Wii. Everyone was hyped about that. That was the first game I bought with my own money. My first delving into the competitive Smash was actually with Smash 4. The one that came out on the 3DS and the Wii U.
That was mine too, yep.
Yeah, I went to a couple of tournaments for that, mostly just like some kid's garage. Me and my buddy would take a trip up, and then after I played that for a little bit, I started delving into PM. PM, for those who don't know, is a mod of Brawl that essentially makes the mechanics function like Melee. It was very popular back in like 2016 to 2020. It's had a little bit of a resurgence lately, but the scene for that's kind of been dying out. A lot of people heading to Melee or Smash Ultimate. There was a PM tournament held by this kid in the Amesbury High School that was, I don't know how he did it. He convinced the faculty to let him throw a fucking Smash Bros tournament. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, of course.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
I should have asked.
yes.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. But he held this tournament that was probably like 30 people, single elimination. The bracket was on like a whiteboard. It was very like amateur tournament, but it was still a great time. He brought a bunch of people from like the local scene and mostly just like local town kids. That was my first like competitive tournament. And the way I got more into the like actual competitive scene was actually Smashboards. So it's funny how much the landscape has changed in even the past 4 years, like before COVID.
Is that like is the boards, is that like smash.gg and stuff like that?
So Smashboards was a forum. Remember
Oh, okay.
forums?
Yeah.
So it was the classic, like you had threads inside of threads where you'd post discussions. I had seen the documentary on YouTube, the Melee doc.
Oh, I've seen that too. It's a good
Little,
watch.
it's a good watch. It's a little bit dated now, I will say, in
Yes.
terms of the gamer language, we'll say. After watching that, I wanted to see what the local scene was like, and I saw on Smashboards a forum post. My good friend now hosted a tournament called "Make Money Off Melee," just kind of like a joke name. It was just like a regular tournament. It was his first time hosting a tournament, but my mom ended up becoming a tournament series that we ran for about 3.5 years, doing weeklies. We did bi-monthly tournaments, regularly pulling like 150 plus people. That was my main intro, was that tournament, my mom. And that was kind of like its own era. That was started back in 2015. And even since then, the entire landscape has just completely changed, from how you find tournaments to how you find people to play with
Sure.
to traveling. It's all over the place. So
Sure.
I've played Smash Bros forever. Getting into the competitive scene mostly is just about finding the network to find people near you. It used to be Facebook Marketplace and Smashboards.
Hmm.
Now it's like Discord, Twitter, Zoom, all the online stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, I imagine COVID had a big part to do with that. Question for you. I know like that like a lot of different college campuses in and around at least Massachusetts, and I imagine probably all over the place, have some
Hmm.
sort of competitive Smash Club or Smash Club in general. I at least definitely went to a few sessions when I was in school at the UMass one. Would those be open to sort of anybody could come and check those kind of events out, or are they usually just for students?
If you are in college, or even if you have a college near you and you're interested in the Smash scene, please reach out and figure out what your local scene's like, because that's pretty much where all of the current heads in the scene started really finding their place in the community, is their
Hmm.
college scene. Because there's
Okay.
always people trying to play. There's not only just friendlies and stuff. Almost every college will have a weekly of some sort.
Hmm.
There'll be people running it. Sometimes they'll even have a live stream for it. Generally, your local Facebook or Discord groups are going to be the way to find that. But almost every college has a very active scene for Melee, Smash, for Ultimate, even other fighting games.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was the cool part I thought when I would go to those kinds of events is like along with every sort of Smash setup you could think of, there's always somebody playing Street Fighter, Tekken, or whatnot in the background.
Yep.
So I always thought that was pretty cool.
A lot of the times you will have a little bit of separation between your Melee and your like Smash Ultimate or Smash 4 scenes, but in my experience, I went to UMass Lowell for a little bit, founded the Smash Club there, and we had both of the weeklies on the same day. So sometimes we would get cross entrance, and it was a really good opportunity to kind of get those communities to kind of, I don't know, see what you can do together.
Oh, absolutely. And the more the merrier, I feel, in this kind of situation. I know you said you started in and around Amesbury and with Mom? How?
My
My
mom.
mom. New England Smash is huge. It's up from Maine down to Pennsylvania. Have and you mentioned traveling earlier as well. Have
Mm.
most of the tournaments you've been in? I imagine most of them that you've been involved in have been in Massachusetts. But have you done some competing up and down the East Coast? In the New England region.
Yeah, in terms of competing, I've always been not the greatest. I'm not gonna be taking down any big regionals or anything, but I'll make it out of the pool stage. I've been to Virginia for Pound in 2016. I've been to New York a handful of times. They used to have a tournament called Nebulous in the Bronx. That was sick. They now have I forget what the venue name is, but the tournament's called the Nightclub. If you're in New York, hit up the Nightclub.
Oh.
They have very very good setup, friendliest scene you'll ever find in New York. Um, they're really good. I recently, in this past April, actually went to California to Genesis to
Oh, no
compete
way.
there. Yeah, it was a great time. If you ever get the chance to go to a Smash Major, if there's one within any any sort of driving distance near you, you got to make it out to Saturday or Sunday. There's nothing like watching a really tight set with 40 people crowded around. Everyone's cheering for their local hidden boss. It gets pretty sick.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, I've seen a lot of it, from the Melee doc to just seeing it in person at events like Smash Club to, like watching it online. Like, shit gets hype, man. Like, there's some crazy plays these like top level professionals be running.
And usually the hype comes from the players being close matched. Like we can all watch the grand finals of the top 2 ranked players, and it's going to be cool if they have a close set. It might be a 3-0 and we're all bored. But then you have like the 18th versus the 21st seed in round 2, and that's just as close of a match, and those guys are just as equally matched. So you're going to have as many tight battles in that part of your bracket. So there's always some fun stuff to watch. Really, my favorite part of brackets has always been the second phase, or the right before top 16, because that's when you get the people traveling and all their best players are starting to meet in bracket, and that's when the real hype matches start coming.
In your many years as a competitive Smash player, have you developed any rivalries with other players?
I have. Mostly just local heads that it's all friendly stuff. I haven't been enough of a serious competitor to develop any, real bitter, like we hate each other before, during, after bracket. It's mostly just been friendly stuff. I have certain sets with people where I'm very emotionally invested because of the history. I have certain people that I have 20 sets on that have only beaten me once, and I have certain people that I've played 20 times and I've never even taken a game off of them.
Oh, yeah.
So if you consistently are in a region going to stuff, you will see the same faces, and it doesn't matter if you want to or not, you will care about the match you're playing and who you lost to or beat last time. I'm actually thinking about one right now. There's this kid who came to my mom. We ended it in about 2018, so that's when he started playing, and I had been playing for 3 years at this point, so I would regularly beat him. I took probably 11 or 12 sets off of him in the span of like 4 or 5 months, and then a year later in 2019, for some reason, he was just significantly better, and we had a really close, like, game 5, last set, last stock, last hit. Really close. I lost to him. Since then, haven't beat him once. I've played him probably 5 times. Every single time, he just washes me. And credit to him, he's a grinder. He's playing so much. He's putting a lot of effort in. But, God damn it, I want to beat him again.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's the craziest part about it with me, with Smash. There's obviously, like, practice makes perfect kind of thing, but I feel specifically with Melee, there's like a lot of and I would see this kind of when, like, I was living with Luke and I would see him practice while he was trying to break in. You're just practicing wave dashing for like hours. Like, that's the type of like bare bones technique you have to master versus just like, oh, I'm gonna sit down for 3 hours and play level 9 bots.
There's absolutely a mechanical skill barrier to get into Melee, just like there is for most fighting games. For Tekken, you have to learn combos. For Street Fighter, you have to learn combos. For Counter-Strike, you have to learn how to tap strafe and how to stop moving before you shoot with Valorant. So the hard part with Melee is that the mechanical skill barrier is very steep, but the skill ceiling is also very high. And that's why the players that like it are so die hard for it, because there really isn't many other games that have movement that is as precise as Melee. To that extent, though, it's never been more accessible to get into Melee with online, the emulator Slippy, the rollback netcode for matchmaking. There's training packs now where it's basically like the Street Fighter training mode, where it'll put you and a bot next to each other, and you'll have to do like an L cancel on the technique, and it'll tell you, oh, you were 3 frames late. You should have done it earlier. And there's just like training packs and stuff like that. Stuff that people in 2008 would have dreamed of.
So those types of training packs, are those included like within Slippy? Because I know Slippy's been huge.
Not really. There's a lot of different types of training packs. The most comprehensive one right now is called Uncle Punch. Yeah, it takes the mission mode and it makes it a bunch of just like training drills, like L cancel practice, wave dash practice, that kind of thing. Slippy is more of the matchmaking and the
Yes.
client
Okay.
of actually playing with other people.
Pivoting off into that like sort of technical skill barrier and these types of things that you like literally have to do if you want to break a certain barrier, is that what attracts you to Melee so much as opposed to other Smash games, say Ultimate, or I know like even, I mean, Brawl's trash, but like but like Project M, for example,
It's weird because of how much of an accident Melee was. There's no denying that a lot of the stuff is developer intended. Like wave dashing was a known mechanic. L canceling was a mechanic that was in Smash 64, even before Melee. All of these things kind of combined to make this very precise, kind of beautiful game that you can tell they put a lot of effort. I mean, if you look at any of the devlogs for Melee, you can see Sakurai talk about how they were all basically physically killing themselves because of how hard they were working on this to get it out in time. Like they made it in a year and a half or something. It's insane the amount of precision there is in, and just really attention to detail of all the interactions.
Sure.
There's a lot of really good videos on YouTube that dive into how the mechanics work that are really accessible, not like hour-long theses about like every mechanic, which are out there too. But you have very simple, like 10-minute kind of intros to how the mechanics work. As far as comparing it to like other games like Smash Ultimate, I think that's what draws a lot of people, me included, into Melee, is that there's so much freedom of expression in the movement and the combos. There's a lot of things that now, because the meta is still changing in an unpatched game, crazy. There's a lot of things that are kind of like set in stone for the meta. Like if you're Marth against a Spacey and you land a grab, you can get him to 40% guaranteed every time if you're good enough.
Okay.
And with that skill ceiling comes the freedom of expression that I can tell Mango, the best Falco player to ever do it, from my local Falco player, and I can see just the two players on the screen and I can tell you which is which. But that's comparing two different levels of players.
Sure.
The cool thing about Melee is I could take my local player of Falco and I can tell him apart from your scene's local Falco because I know the style that my buddy plays. He's going to go for these options in this scenarios, and there really is that much expression that even different regions. New York has a different style.
That's what I was going to ask, if there's regional like differences too. That's really cool.
You'll have a person show up to your tournament and you'll be like, I've never seen this guy before, and you start playing him and it's like, all right, he's got to be with the New York squad that came because this guy's playing weird. It's very, I mean, it's been said a million times. It's kind of a meme at this point. Melee is anime, Melee is jazz. Like it's very overplayed at this point, but the point stands that it is one of the most just good feeling to move in.
Mm-hmm.
It's I hate to be pivoting it around so many times, but I'm sure you've seen the success of games like Multiverses,
yes,
Slap City, Nickelodeon's All-Star Brawl, rest in peace.
That one's trash.
It was all right. So all of these games come out and they're good. People have fun with them for a little bit, but the pattern that always happens is that these Melee players will play it for a month on their streams. They'll have a fun time, play it with their homies. As soon as you boot up Melee and you play Falco for 3 seconds, you're like, oh yeah, I'm back. This is why I'm playing this right now. It just feels right.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's like, I've like, be it my own conversations, be it talking with, like listening to podcasts and talking about it. Like there are so many other games that they're almost there, but for whatever reason, they just can't match that same feeling. And it sounds silly to talk about, but it's a very, very real thing. Like it's very hard to match. Oh, for sure.
They're trying right now. No one's hit it.
Much props to Multiverses. If they like,
they did well. They're doing well.
It doesn't match Smash by any means, but like, the free to play of it and the consistent updating and support for that game they look like they're putting into it, I feel like I could see Multiverses having a lot of longevity.
And the online's good.
Yes, it is. It's not shitty to play, which is
In today's day and age, I think that's gonna be a big factor in whether your game succeeds.
yeah. Maybe someday Nintendo will know how to manage online anything.
Not if Breath of the Wild 2 sells like we think it's gonna, man.
Oh, it will. It will too. That's the sad part. Nintendo
Yeah.
can put fucking shit on a disc and people will still buy it. Jumping off of that precise feeling and what you were talking about specifically regarding, different characters and being able to tell apart in terms of styles, like based off of your own history, you mentioned Marth, you mentioned the Spaceys. I know those guys are pretty thick and stuck in that meta, like in terms of Melee, but what are some things about like those characters specifically that either on your own personal level or within the meta itself, what attracts you to those characters as opposed to like, I don't know, Captain Falcon or Mario or something like that?
It's really cool because you absolutely see cliques of certain characters develop. Like in the corner of the tournament, you'll see all the Fox players talking about how to beat the number 1 seed, which is the local Peach, and he's just dominating everyone. And they're all like, how do we beat Peach? He just keeps down smashing. Oh my God, do we keep running into it? Every character has certain things that clique kind of identifies with. Fox players are button pressers. They wanna press fast buttons and overwhelm you, and they want to play the best character in the game. That's the only perspective I can give you because I'm a Fox player. But
hey man, the meta's the meta at the end of the day. If you wanna stay up there, you got to get good at certain characters.
The cool thing there is that at every level you'll still have people complaining about certain characters. The number 2 Falco player, Fiction, he'll lose to a Marth and he'll be like, this character's so fucking bullshit, man. He's just down tilts and he doesn't even have to use his brain. And it's like, this dude is like the 5th best player in the world complaining about this character.
Yeah.
And like, it's one of those things that if you go to tournaments or you watch matches, you'll very quickly identify what kind of character kind of vibes with you. The expressiveness of the combos, how fast you are, your positioning is all gonna determine kind of what your playstyle is gonna be like. And all of the characters have similar kind of mechanics, but very different playstyles and kind of, I guess, ways you'll play neutral, especially compared to a fighting game. The traditional fighter like Tekken or Street Fighter.
Yeah. I can see that. That, and some would say that's just a benefit to the game of Smash itself and why it has blown up in the way it has, because at the end of the day, everybody does have the same inputs and mechanical base levels, but it allows for so much expression and variation jumping off of that.
Right. And people talk a lot about the tier list. One of the main criticisms of Melee is that there's 6 viable characters and only 7 people can win a major. But like, if the same idea with like music, if you hand Jimi Hendrix a $20 guitar, he's still gonna sound like Jimi Hendrix. If I make Mango play Mewtwo, he's still gonna beat my ass with my best character.
Exactly.
Just because he's that much better than me. So you can. As you get to the intermediate level, you're able to do similar things with every character, and it does actually take a little bit of delving into that mechanical skill to be able to really feel out what character is right for you. Watching matches is probably the best way, other than that, to figure out, what kind of vibe you'd like.
That's my big, and me and Lucas would play a metric shit ton of Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate back when we lived together back in the day. And that, I thought, was something I picked up from watching you play, Lucas, from watching, versus like a Trevor or John, or just, the entire rest of our cast of characters that would regularly roll through our fraternity house. It's everybody's playing in a different way. And that's my biggest thing. Like Ganondorf, for example, like just his basic like side B into the down tilt, like it's a must have. It's like the easiest way to set up like anything based like from
Hmm.
that combo, but I would never have known about that if I hadn't seen somebody else do it beforehand, you know?
I'm both intimidated and a little bit jealous of Ultimate players because of how many goddamn characters are in that game. I've don't even think I could even start to like learn that many matchups. At most in Melee, I have to like really practice like 5 or 6 matchups to be able to be ready for any tournament realistically. But goddamn, Ultimate's a different beast.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. It's probably, and that might be something that attracts you to it more. Is that the fact that there's a lot less you have to worry about in terms of just the pool of variation.
Yeah.
Whereas like, Lucas mains like Mewtwo and fucking, I don't know, who else did you main? Like you were a big Mewtwo guy.
I was a Mewtwo guy initially, where I played him just exclusively because I was like, oh, everyone here has like played like Smash games before, so I need to up my level of competence to like not die immediately. But by the end, like, because we were playing that game for like a good year, I had like 8 or 9 people that I actually like enjoyed.
Yeah.
Which is always nice to just have like some more variance rather than just playing like the same character over and over again. But yeah, I don't know. Like Link is fun. And I was like so anti like sword boys, but then I was like, oh, Link has like a bomb and like a boomerang and an arrow that you can like move the bomb around after you throw it. It's like, so that was like that
Yeah.
one little gimmick made me enjoy like the rest of his moveset.
Oh,
Now,
for sure.
did you guys ever have one person that was like clearly just like, oh, he shows up like, yeah, he's
It's
gonna
Luke.
win. He's gonna
It's
win.
Luke.
It's Luke.
It's Luke. It's
Okay.
it's like it's a combination of like Luke and Trevor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tryhards.
Yeah. I haven't played I played a shit ton of Smash when Sora dropped, and thank you Sakurai, but like
To anyone who hasn't seen it, check out the Big House Smash Ultimate Top 8.
Okay.
One of the best Ultimate Top 8s that's ever happened. Especially the Grand Finals was something for you Sora fans out there. I won't spoil much, but there's some fun stuff that happens in there.
Oh, speaking of major gaming events,
Mm.
this next set of questions, like I was the most hyped for, just because
Yes.
you told Tom that you've done Smash commentary,
Mhm.
which is like I think really cool because obviously like the competitive gaming scene is like relatively new, but
Mhm.
like actually commentating on games is like really fresh.
that's
so
what Lucas wants to get into
Yeah.
out there.
well, I just think like it's because like I like am more familiar with like obviously like sports commentary.
Right.
But like to have that in a game setting, like how did you get started? And then also what traits make someone a good gaming commentator?
So Smash commentary is so weird because of how many people do it and how many people are really bad at it. So Smash, Street Fighter, Tekken, most events, if it's a competitive tournament, will have a live stream just for the matches. Most of the time, you're going to be streaming, round 1 in this 64 player bracket. Joe Schmo number 1 versus who's this guy. Then we have every match getting more and more intense until you're at the grand finals, and that'll have the most viewers. Most of the time, the people at the tournament are there to compete. So you'll have your stream guy sitting there running the stream being a monkey, and he'll be one of the most common things you'll hear is, anyone want to commentate? We need commentators. So the major level and the local level is 2 completely different things. On the local level, it's mostly just, yo, who wants to come down and shoot the shit with chat? The 24 people watching are all people who usually come, but they had work today, so they couldn't make it. So they're just going to hang out. And getting up to the regional and major level, that's when you start to get the people that are more akin to sports commentators, people that are seriously talking about the match, depending on the context. Something that makes people a good commentator is being able to work with multiple different types of commentators. People talk a lot about fitting into the role of color commentator or play-by-play commentator or something like that. A lot of the times what makes someone or breaks someone in a commentary career is being able to work in multiple different roles with multiple different people. There is a lot of people that I honestly think try too hard when it comes to presenting themselves as serious esports. Everyone has different levels of esports they want to get with it. Melee is very grassroots in the local scenes, and coming to the majors, like I just ran the side stream for Shine, and we had Papa John's as a sponsor. Pretty big, like serious stuff that we're trying to be professional for. If you are trying to get into that, by far the easiest and the most accessible thing to do is to find your local scene and figure out if there's a stream there. If not, maybe start it. It's more accessible than ever. All you need is like a computer, a capture card, and a microphone. You don't even need webcams to get your stream started. The main thing with commentary is it's like any industry. It's who you know. If you want to get to the top level of commentary, it's not one of those things that you can grind like a competitor and you'll be the number one just by beating everyone. It's subjective. You have to do a lot of networking. You have to know the people in your local scene, and they will vouch for you when it comes time for the regional and they're making a list of commentators. We're finally getting to the point where people are starting to get paid for events like this. The commentators are getting paid, the stream runners, and people, instead of just volunteering for the community, we're actually making this something that's going to be sustainable in the future for bigger and better events. And who knows where it's going to go. There's a lot of talk right now about esports being how big it's going to get, if it's ever going to catch up to mainstream sports or if it's going to kind of plateau. We're finally getting to the point where we're starting to figure some of that stuff out, you know?
Oh, for sure. And I imagine, like, that's really cool to hear that, like, people are getting paid and actually can, like, make a living or even, like, a side hustle doing off something like that, like, on the local level, too. Mm-hmm. That's always good to hear.
Mm-hmm. With, like, obviously play-by-play, kind of, like, you can visualize how that would go, but what is color commentary like for those?
A lot of the times, the best commentary blocks I've found and the ones that get the best reactions from chat are when the commentators are not talking about the match at all or the players. It's when they're talking about like the drama that happened at the Domino's down the street from the local, and they're just laughing, having a good time. Because really good example, we just had a major in Worcester, Mass for Smash called Shine. I was doing the side Melee stream for that, so 10 a.m. sharp on Saturday. We're up and at 'em. Streams live. We're running pools, baby. Everyone's getting started. The commentators on there are, the ones I had at least, were actual like professional guys that travel around and do this. I was lucky to work with a lot of really cool people. But it's 10 a.m. They're not, all right, Marth hits the down tilt and sends him off stage. Let's see if he can hit this edge guard. Oh, he hits it. It's a close battle. They're like, here we are in Worcester. Dude, what the hell is Worcester? What is this place? Where are we? And they're just like really just having fun. The color commentary usually is talking about, if not directly the match, usually something related to the match. Like, what is Mech wearing today? What are those shoes? Where the hell did he get those? I was talking to him earlier, and he said he went to Payless. And then, so it can range anything from talking about current events to the color that people pick and just making fun of someone for picking yellow peach. It varies a lot. It's really about it's the same kind of thing that would make someone a successful streamer.
Sure.
Really, it's just kind of being personable, being entertaining.
You said you just were working Shine just recently and got the opportunity to like work with some pro people. Mm-hmm. I imagine you've done this a lot as, I've known you for a while and I've known you've been very invested in this scene, as we all now see. What is one of your favorite, like, be it commentating, competing, what's one of your favorite like moments that you can recall in the scene?
It's one specific moment during one of the first majors back in 2016 I can think of, actually, because I was running the live stream for this local tournament, my mom, and that was a pretty small thing. We would get 20 viewers on Twitch, and then eventually the big guys in the scene, the dudes that had the money, put on this major in Boston, flew out all the top players and the real top talent. And since I was just kind of someone locally that was known for running a stream, I was invited not paid at this time in 2016, but I was invited to bring my computer and just do a side recording setup, just so players could have records of their matches so they could rewatch it. Wasn't even live streamed. But I remember bringing all that in. After I set it up, it was kind of set it and forget it. It was recording. The only thing to do was update the names on the overlay. So we actually got this volunteer, because there was just a bunch of random like floating volunteers at these sort of events that do miscellaneous tasks. I got one to sit down at my setup and just update the names. So I had him there for a shift. I went over, I think I was playing my pool in singles actually. But I set him there for 2 hours. It was his first tournament ever, not even just his first major. He was very like starry-eyed, like, oh, look at all these top players around. I get to volunteer. This is so cool. And so I set him down at the setup, and I go to play my match. And I come back probably an hour and a half later, and there is a crowd of maybe like 50 or 60 people all around the TV. And he is sitting there at the computer that's right next to it. There's probably another 30 people behind him watching his screen. He's like beaming, and I go up to him and I look over, and it's the Swooper from New Jersey versus Mango.
Oh, wow.
Mango is the #1 ranked player of all time. He's been around since 2007. If you know Melee, you know Mango. And I can only assume it was his first time seeing Mango ever, because it was a pretty tight set. It was really entertaining, but the look on his face when I walked over and I was just like, hey, pretty cool, right? It was kind of that mesh of the local scene versus the big major scene, and it really made me realize how much there really isn't a big difference between that. The local scene, at least in Melee, even, I guess that's how it began, was these small local grassroots scenes all started to grow and grow until it became this bigger thing, and nationally it all kind of started interconnecting. And that was just one moment that I realized how much of an impact that you can have just by volunteering, just by, just showing up, saying, hey, what can I do? Can I run some pools for you? Let me throw out this bag of trash for you, because smashers are disgusting and they leave trash everywhere. That realization of, the culmination, I don't know, it's just very exciting to be able to share that with someone who maybe otherwise would have been too hesitant to volunteer or something. Being able to be like, hey, like, here's these top players that you see online on the internet. They're just people competing here just like you.
Jumping into like a community that runs so deep like that is enriching no matter what it is, like I feel that way like when we go to like PAX East and things like that, where it's just like, oh, okay, these are complete strangers that none of us know, but like we're all here celebrating this one thing that we like love to death.
Yes.
And nobody has to be like shy or withdrawn about that. It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
It can be intimidating to go to an event thinking, oh, and if you go and you sit down in a setup and it's your first tournament, you're probably going to get beat. You're going to get smacked around a little bit. But there's, at a 50-person tournament, there's going to be at least 5 or 6 people there that show up and don't even enter the thing, don't even enter the bracket. They go just to hang out, just to see the people that enjoy the thing that we all enjoy together.
Absolutely.
Another question for you. For a non Smash Melee, what's the word? The knowledgeable user. In the info that Tom sent me about you, he mentioned TOing, if that's how it's pronounced. And I tried to Google this and could not find anything on it. So what is that?
So TOing is tournament organizing.
Okay.
That's going to be the people basically running the whole thing. TOing ranges from setting up the venue to running brackets to changing the toilet paper the tournament organizers are the lifeblood of any scene. Thank your TOs. If you go to any tournament, just say, hey man, I appreciate you putting this on, because it's the most thankless job you will find in any grassroots scene, Smash, fighting games, chess, like any competitive thing. The organizers are the ones that are making it happen. A lot of the times, not only are they not getting paid, but they're losing money putting these events on. Thank you, TOs. They get they get a lot of flack for no good reason. There's this big myth that TOing is this big lucrative, like all the TOs just want to like scoop up your money. They're all broke. None of them have money. There are certain people that if they didn't exist, scenes would have completely died. Here in New England, shout outs to Stock Money and G-Town Tom. Those two are the absolute foundation of New England Melee. And if they weren't here, there probably wouldn't be Melee players in New England. At least not as many as there is today. It's going to be the dudes that you show up, and they're going to be the ones calling out matches. They'll be taking your money, and they talk with the venue owners to get the thing set up. They're basically top to bottom. They get it all done. And those are the people that actually make these events happen.
That's like really cool to hear that, you know, those are the people who are just doing it purely for the love of the game and like bringing these people together.
Yeah.
Well, this has been like incredibly informative from top to bottom, my friend.
Yeah.
I got one more kind of like quick like side question for you before we kind of wrap it up here, but what would you say, and this is more of my own personal curiosity, but what would you say is your favorite addition to the, other than Sora, to the Smash Ultimate roster? Who was dropped into that
character?
game?
Easy.
Yeah.
Steve. Super
All
easy.
right.
Minecraft Steve. If you're at all in the loop of the competitive Smash Ultimate, you know how controversial Steve is right now.
Steve busted, bro.
Steve busted. He's probably more controversial than Bayonetta when she came out for Wii U. There's this really funny kind of contrast you'll see at majors right now where all of the Smash Ultimate players are all kind of like in a corner like, all right, what do we do about Steve? Like, are we banning him? Like, this is a problem right now. And you have all the Melee players like, Steve's the best thing to ever happen to this game. I can actually watch top 8 now. Let's go. And all the Melee players are all so hype. I actually found out, I think I want to say like, it might be Minnesota. There is a group of regional Melee players that are, I think, all ranked in the region that are all grinding Steve for 2 weeks and attending the Ultimate Arcadian. If you don't know what an Arcadian is, it is a tournament that is only for unranked players. So if you're in the top 10 in your state, you're not allowed to enter. So the Arcadian is where the hidden bosses and the up-and-comers come to actually make some money. Because everyone's like, oh, shit, the top 10's the guy who I lost 20 times in a row to isn't going to be allowed to enter. I can actually win this thing. Some of the most hype matches you'll see at Arcadians, and Melee players grinding Steve for 2 weeks and showing up to an Ultimate Arcadian really just sounds like the most entertainment you can get in that kind of game. I'm very excited for that. I'll have to look more into exactly where that is.
That's pretty cool. Shout out Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. They didn't put Goku, Naruto, or Jack in, so
yeah,
Steve's my guy.
Sora's without a doubt my favorite for sure. Minecraft Steve is up there. I also was pretty jazzed about Banjo and Kazooie.
Yeah, that's one that if it wasn't there, it would be kind of a blemish on. Everyone's here, asterisk.
Yeah. The fact I still like to this day, the fact that he got Sora in that game and that Sora is like potentially the last like Smash character to ever be
it's
like
beautiful.
Added.
It really is.
It's just the greatest thing in the world. That's
good.
like the shit I've been wanting since like early days of Brawl.
So you should probably go to a big Smash Ultimate major. There's this was in the Big House top 8, but
okay.
A little spoilers, there was a Sora in Grand Finals, and you know, his B moves, every time he does the magic, he'll be like, freeze, fire. Every time he would do a B move, the entire crowd, thunder, freeze.
That's sick.
Like 500 people, like all yell. It was super cool. Kind of like all the Evo people, when Cell does the Dragon Ball intro, they all go, ah.
Oh, yeah. That's super cool.
Kind of like that.
I'll have to check that out for sure. Yeah, those big gaming moments where the crowd gets involved, like, the best. Mm-hmm. I had that once at PAX for a Sonic Adventure 2 tournament, and the whole room was singing City Escape, and it was like one of the weirdest and most beautiful moments I've ever been a part of. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. if you want to include any media and links or anything, I actually have a really good example of. Have you ever heard of crew battles?
Yeah, that's usually when a couple of people go at it.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact specifics, but don't they like tally up kind of like a team makes points?
Exactly. So to sum it up quickly, but it's a 5 versus 5 or however many players you have, but you both start with a certain amount of lives. Let's say the first player wins and he has 2 lives left.
Yes.
Second team sends in his next player, and the guy who won keeps the amount of lives that he had from the previous game. So it's like a sum of total lives that you have, and it'll deplete. So one player can take out the entire enemy 5 people if he plays perfectly. But that's generally how you'll settle beefs between different crews, different regions. Be like, hey, get your best 5 players. We're doing a crew battle.
I love that. Was that a mode that was built? That was a mode that was built into Smash 4, if I remember correctly, right?
It's kind of built into Ultimate with what is it? Squad Strike?
Oh no, it is Ultimate. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That is what it is.
It's kind of similar to that, except you have multiple lives and you have different characters for each life, which is a really cool concept that I wish you could do in Melee.
Oh yeah, we'll get some of that in there for sure. Billy's really good about the B-roll, so we'll have stuff up.
I'll provide you a little bit of a link. There's this really old legendary crew battle in New England. The group of Huntington Avenue Boston College kids versus Worcester area Smash, also known as WAZ. They had a pretty big beef for a couple years, and it wasn't real beef. It was mostly like, fuck Boston, fuck Worcester, all in good fun. The only time that like more than 10 people or more than 5 people from both groups was together for the first time was Shine 2017, where we have a crew battle bracket.
Oh,
yeah. So
that actually sounds like a lot of fun.
Our good pal G-Town Tom may or may not have rigged the bracket for this match to happen. Habs, the Huntington Avenue Bomb Squad versus Waz, and it just became one of the. It's one of those things that is really legendary on the local level, and the people that were there know, and it will never kind of culminate into something that big again.
What's 1 + 1, Ryan? Tell me. Oh, he can't tell me. He doesn't know.
And every region has these stories, has these crews and people that are invested in rivalries and things. So whatever your local area is, get into it, because there's people out there that are invested, and there's people out there that just want to be there to hang out. So there's always options.
There's a place there for everyone.
Seems that we have come to the end of our questions. So that means that you can plug your shit. Anything you got going on? Any upcoming tournaments you're participating in, you want to let the people know?
I just registered for Genesis in January. So my goal is to make it out of round 2 pools there. I don't really have anything else planned. I might be running some streams. Check out, in New England at least, if you want to figure out what's up with Melee, check out Alston Melee. That's Allston, like near Boston. Alston Melee is holding it down in terms of content recently. They have a podcast. They run the stream for the weekly. If we're doing any regionals, I'm probably going to be running the stream for then. So Alston Melee on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. They do a lot of top 10s, like top 10 top 10 Melee terms, top 10 rivalries, top 10, just like fun videos like that.
They're putting out that good content.
Yeah, if there's anyone I want to plug, it's Alston Melee. They're really holding it down in New England right now. You can find me on Twitter at fakey_Smith. I don't really tweet much, but that's really it.
Facts, man. Well, I'm very excited to check out a few of these different things, like some of these crew battles and some of these top 8s, specifically the majors with Sora you were mentioning. I'm definitely going to check that out. Yes. And we'll have to look into Alston Melee as well, because we are, Lucas is in New Jersey. I'm pretty close to Alston anyway.
New
So
Jersey, I actually have a lot of really good friends in New Jersey. There's a really healthy scene out there. A lot of cool dudes.
beautiful. All right. Well, we'll definitely check them out soon. And can't thank you enough for coming on, man. This was actually
Thank you for
like,
having me.
of course, this was incredibly informative. It was great to learn about the scene, and I'm just glad to see that you're like still crazy active in it, because that makes me super hyped to see when everybody is getting to really do and be a part of the things they like doing.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention Slippy and NetPlay. At the beginning of COVID, this wonderful human named Fizzy developed a new form of netcode that essentially expanded the region that you can play people. I'm in the Boston area. Before, I could only really play people max New Jersey, and then the connections would start to be whatever. Now I can play people in Florida, no problem.
Beautiful.
Not to diss y'all's game or anything, but Slippy, this online matchmaking, if you have a nice setup with an Ethernet cable and a nice gaming monitor, has less input delay than Ultimate offline.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'll leave it there.
Okay.
It's never been more accessible. There's skill-based matchmaking, so if you've never played Melee and you don't even know what a wave dash or an L cancel is, play a couple games, it'll drop, and it's very heavy, strict on the lower side. So if you're new, it'll match you with people that are new. You can really get a good feel for what the game's like then. But the best way is obviously to find your local scene. The accessibility that's come with Slippy for people that may be too anxious or nervous to go to a tournament and compete with people IRL. I've seen more people than ever being like, hey, it's my first tournament, I'm really excited to play, and then they beat my ass. That doesn't happen. That's not supposed to happen. But with Slippy, like, it's people are getting good now, and it's very exciting, the people we're seeing come up right now.
For sure. Well, we'll leave it right there at that, folks. You heard it here first. Check out Slippy if you're trying to get into Melee. It seems like a super easy way to jump and dive in and get into the scene, and then do some Googling. Find your local venue.
Blippi.gg.
There you go.
That's your place.
All right. Well, until next time, folks. Thank you once again for coming and chatting with us, Nathan. And Blippi.gg if you guys want to start playing some Melee. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed that wonderful interview with my good pal Nathan. I know I learned quite a lot about the Melee scene here in New England. What was your favorite part about that one, Lucas?
Honestly, the commentary section, just because that, like, I knew going in that was something that I had like little to no knowledge about, but was interested in learning about, and interesting to hear that the color commentary side of things for gaming is just like shooting the shit on random subjects.
Yeah, for real.
So, but yeah, I mean, a lot of great information there. So
that was funny to me for sure. I also was quite interested to learn that Minecraft Steve seems to be the big up and comer in the ultimate scene anyway.
Yeah.
And I hate Minecraft Steve. He's busted. So that's how I feel about that one, folks. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed that interview. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll keep bringing you cool ass interviews like this. Next week, it's going to be another just us two homies once again. So keep it locked for that. And we'll hopefully bring you some more great content that involves less technical difficulties and less me getting trashed. So until then, follow us on Instagram. Go check out our last episode where I got trashed and we had a ton of technical difficulties. Billy did a great job editing that together to make it look like we had as little technical problems as possible. So Lucas is going to work on fixing his internet so we can do more stuff like that. But in the meantime, let us know what you think. Keep it locked. GameChat_Tom Lucas on Instagram. And any closing thoughts, buddy?
Just reiterate, keep it locked here. We're averaging an interview every other episode, which is pretty good. So if that's what you're into, we'll have more stuff in future episodes this season.
Hell yeah, brother. And with that, peace out, folks. Pew pew.